Thank you very much, Mr. Yankos. Thank you for the kind introduction and also for inviting me today. I'm pleased to be with you, also online for this time. But congratulations for managing to organize FOREN also this year, even virtual conditions. But it's very good to keep the momentum, and it's also very important. And it's very important because these times, as it was said before, are indeed challenging. But at the same time are the times when we can set the future of the energy system in Europe, in Romania, on the Black Sea coast. And it's extremely important to use all the opportunities we have. And at the same time, it's important that despite the crisis we have to pass right now, we ensure the long-term benefits for all, which are the aim of the energy transition and of the new Green Deal also at European level. Speaking about the new Green Deal, I have to say a couple of words, but the most important I would say here is that the call of the President von der Leyen to really change, if you want, the trajectory. We have spoken before about decarbonization, long-term decarbonization by 2050. But by putting the targets more ambitious for 2030, it means we need to invest now. We need to invest in the coming years to avoid lock-in effects and to transform the energy system already now. And this is wise because the investments, as we know, very often the energy sector are done for decades, and it's important to avoid lock-in effects. It's important to avoid stranded costs. This comes even more reinforced now in this time of economic potential crisis due to the health crisis we had and we still have to pass through. And it's very important in this context to use all the opportunities to make the energy system more effective on one hand, and the other hand, to really attract the investments in the most promising areas for the future. Related to the Green Deal and to the energy system, if you look at the various components of the new Green Deal, there are some which are particularly important for the energy area. It's about increasing the climate targets, which I have mentioned. It is about the supply of clean, affordable energy. It is definitely about industry and making a more clean and more circular economy in practice, and also about building and renovating in a more efficient way. These are the most relevant part of the Green Deal for the energy system. And I think it's very important that subsequently the budgets also at EU level correspond with these priorities. There are opportunities now in terms of financing, which I think everyone should make use of them. First of all, it's, and you have mentioned also the recovery instruments, the 750 billion euros, which is made of a couple of components of instruments. This next generation EU is the recovery and the resilience facility is the biggest part, but it's also the transition fund. But it's also the part related to the infrastructure and to the EU Invest, which is much reinforced for the future, is even doubled. So all these parts and this attracting these public investments and creating this system of guarantees at EU level is important for the energy system as well, because many of the investments in infrastructure are related to this. And we have to link them to policies. We have to make these opportunities, translate them into projects and into policies. At the level of the DGNR and of the Commission, of course, we came with a number already of communications in July this year. First, and perhaps one of the most important for the future work we'll have, is related to the integrated energy system. And this integrated energy system refers to a more circular energy system. It refers also to renewable-based electrification. It refers also to low carbon fuels based on renewables, which to support further decarbonization. It's referring also what was mentioned before by Bogdan, the energy markets and making them work more effectively. And it's also speaking about the better operation, integrated operation and planning given of the energy infrastructure being electricity, gas, and heating. Let me tell you, from our perspective, this is extremely important because now, if you look at the final energy consumption at Europe level, is about 23% the share of electricity. About 1/3 is in transport and about 45% is in heating and cooling. By 2050, all the analysis we have, all the models we have with the view to get to decarbonization, climate neutrality objective, about half of final energy consumption will be electricity, so the share of electricity will increase. But half will have to be in the forms not of electrons, will have to be in the form of molecules, will have to be gas or liquid fuels. And if we want to achieve decarbonization in long term, we need to decarbonize not only the electricity, but we also have to decarbonize the molecules, the gas and the liquid fuels. And here, the sector integration, the energy system integration concept becomes very, very important. And there are a number of technologies which enable here, and because you mentioned it yourself, also hydrogen would be an important one, in particular for linking renewable electricity and tapping the potential for of renewables in long term to get it cost effectively integrated into the energy system. The strategy we came at European level foresees already 6 gigawatts of electrolyzers to be installed in Rome by 2024. We speak about, and in consultation also industry, of 40 gigawatts by 2030. And this is in Europe, but the industry has aims also for the neighboring countries to install additional 40 gigawatts. That's why it was at the same time as the strategy, an alliance created, an industrial alliance, which expanded to more, and which is something very important also for the companies and for industries across Europe, including in Eastern Europe, to participate and to become active on. I would like to mention that the opportunities we see here is in particular related to the decarbonization of carbon-intensive sectors, being the refining, being the fertilizers, the role of ammonia, which has to be further explored, but also to see how will connect to the gas system, to the gas infrastructure. Maybe in some cases it would be worth to have some mixtures, some blendings. Maybe we need to repurpose and to have completely new hydrogen infrastructure. There will be a number of alternatives, and in many cases it also depends on the opportunities. But in particular in coastal areas, we see, and in areas with high shares of renewables or potential for renewables, we see the biggest opportunities. And this brings me to mention another strategy which is currently in progress, and we work on it, the offshore renewable strategy. And where I understand the potential for renewable offshore is also currently examined in Romania, in Black Sea region, and this is an important development for the future as well. This year will also come because I think I need to mention also the demand side with a new renovation wave. And we think this is particularly important because we aim actually to make the directives we have more operational, in particular on buildings where we see the biggest potential and which is important in the context of the energy transition and also the economic recovery, because energy efficiency in buildings can also help with the issue of affordability for the citizens, for the people, can help addressing energy poverty, but can also help creating a lot of jobs locally, developing local industries, and in period of economic recovery, this is extremely important. So this innovation wave will aim to actually double the existing renovation rate, and this is something which should be brought in mind and further exploited. I underlined the Next Generation EU and the whole recovery and resilience facility. But not to forget that we also have in this period, and it is now that are prepared for the next 2021-2027 period, the plans, the so-called partnership agreements, also for Romania, how to use the structural funds. And for the structural funds, it's important to underline that there are two main priorities, which will together make use of up to 80% of the whole structural funds. It's policy objective 1, which actually means modernization of the infrastructures, mass specialization, industrialization, and policy objective 2, which refers to energy, climate, environment. So by acting at the crossroad of the two or combining the two, there are big opportunities for the future period and to leverage with additional funding which will be available. So if it is for me to try to conclude, I would say is that for the countries in the region and also for Romania, it's particularly important in the coming period to make a stronger link between industrial policy and energy policy, to look at all the developments which are happening at European level, all the plans, to look also at the new state aid regime which will have to be developed over the next two years, and to tap the potential we have in this area. Second is to look at the potential for renewables. This is something which is very important for Romania and which can help modernize the economy, being on hydrogen, being on storage, to make really this modernization and to take advantage of the recovery plan in order to make the new infrastructure to modernize and to pave the way for the energy system for the future. And last but not least, of course, is to place this also at a European level and to make an active role in the guiding of the spending on structural funds, on the recovery plan, and to make sure that there are good projects which are being developed and an integrated energy system which is put in place, while at the same time well integrated and interconnected in the European system. Thank you very much.